What if the life you're so proud of isn't even yours? Sounds crazy, right? But take a closer look. Your job, your habits, your definition of success. How much of it did you actually choose? Most people are just reenacting scripts handed to them by parents, school, or culture, thinking they're living freely. But deep down, something feels off. You chase goals that don't excite you. You smile in rooms that drain you. You talk about dreams that don't even feel like yours. That's not freedom. That's well-disguised obedience. And here's the punchline. No one ever told you you're allowed to question it. You just assumed the system was right. You thought your thoughts were your thoughts. But what if that's the illusion? What if the real you, the raw, powerful, authentic version, is still buried under years of silent conditioning? If something in you feels numb, lost, or strangely robotic, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been living someone else's life. And once you see that truth, you can't unsee it. So let's go deeper, because the first lie is the most dangerous. The one that says your dreams are your own. 1. Your dreams were planted by other people. Most people spend their lives chasing dreams they never truly chose. From a young age, we're praised for certain interests, nudged towards specific careers, and told what success is supposed to look like. But how many of those goals came from an authentic place within? A man might break his back to become a lawyer because his father idolized the profession. A woman might dream of marriage because every movie said she'd be incomplete without it. It's identity dressed up in someone else's costume. This kind of conditioning runs deep. It happens silently, like a virus in the background, rewriting the way you see yourself and your future. That shiny car you wanted, that six-figure job, that perfect family photo, they might all be markers of someone else's blueprint. But society calls this ambition, and because it's praised, we rarely stop to question it. We confuse validation with truth. We confuse noise with desire. So what does real authenticity even feel like? For some, it's walking away from everything they were once proud of, changing careers at 45, ending a relationship that looked right, starting over without applause. It's scary, yeah, but it's also raw, liberating, and incredibly honest. Authenticity doesn't always come with a round of applause. Sometimes it shows up in silence, when no one else is watching, but your soul feels at peace. You want to start peeling off the layers? Ask yourself this: if nobody had ever told you who to be, who would you have become? That question alone can rattle your entire foundation. And if it hits something deep, that tightness in your chest, that voice whispering, maybe I'm not living my truth, then keep going, because what's coming next will shake you even harder. 2. You were put on a path before you could walk. From the moment you're born, you're handed a script before you can talk, think, or even choose. Parents reward you for behaving right, schools grade you for fitting the mold, and society nods in approval when you play your role. It's like you were placed on a treadmill with no speed control, expected to run toward a future that was never yours to design. That's not freedom, it's domestication dressed as purpose. This is where most people lose their identity. They confuse comfort with truth, structure with destiny. You get praised for following the plan, go to college, get a job, settle down. But one day, maybe in your 40s, you wake up in a nice house with a nice title and feel absolutely empty inside. That's not failure. That's your soul finally poking through the conditioning and whispering, this isn't it. The shoes you wear every day, maybe they don't fit, maybe they never did. You were just told they looked good. The problem isn't that you've walked far down this path. The problem is that you never asked if the path was actually taking you home. It's like walking confidently in the wrong direction, just because the signs were clear and everyone else was clapping. So what do? You stop. You listen. You trace the path back to where you were buried. It's uncomfortable, like peeling off skin that's not yours. But the next realization is even more jarring. What if every single thing you were proud of was a perfectly executed detour from your real self? 3. Your life is a collection of copied behaviors. We like to think we're original, that our personality is something we crafted over time. But if you look closely, you'll notice how much of it was simply absorbed. The way you argue might echo your mother, your sense of humor. Maybe it's just a remix of the sitcoms you grew up watching. Even your confidence, or lack of it, can often be traced back to how people reacted to you in school. What you think is you is often just well-rehearsed mimicry. Conditioning hides in plain sight. You adapt to survive. At work, in relationships, on social media, you become likable, efficient, predictable. But underneath all that programming is a buried identity, a version of you that existed before the masks. When you laugh in a certain way or react to conflict, ask yourself, is that really me? Or just what I learned to do? Most men walk around like walking hard drives, just running code. To access authenticity, you've got to become a little bit of a detective. Catch yourself in the act. Notice when you're performing instead of living. A real-world tip. Take a weekend off from digital influence. No scrolling, no podcasts, no opinions, but your own. You'd be shocked by how different your thoughts sound in silence. Suddenly, there's no algorithm nudging your mood, and the real you can breathe again. Here's the raw truth. Repetition doesn't just kill creativity, it buries identity. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life collecting badges for mastering behaviors that were never even yours to begin with. But once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it, and the next realization might just flip your whole life upside down. 4. You chose safety over truth. Because you were taught to. Nobody sat you down and said, bury your truth and live afraid. But that's exactly what the world trained you to do. From childhood, you were rewarded for playing it safe, getting good grades, avoiding risk, staying polite. You learned early that intuition gets you in trouble, while conformity earns applause. And so, little by little, you traded truth for approval. Not because you're weak, but because survival taught you that safety feels like love. But safety's a tricky illusion. It disguises itself as success. A steady job, a paid-off car, predictable weekends. Meanwhile, your authenticity withers in the background. You stop questioning, stop exploring, stop feeling. You become a character in your own story, reliable, respected, and completely disconnected. Most men live like that for decades and don't even realize the cost until something inside them snaps. So how do you shake off this conditioning? Start small. Say no when you'd usually say yes. Speak up even if your voice shakes. And maybe read something like The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, just to remember that resistance shows up strongest when your soul is closest to truth. Rebuilding identity isn't about burning everything down. It's about finally telling the truth, even if it's just to yourself at first. You didn't build a life. You built a cage with golden bars, wrapped in praise and logic. But deep inside, something's stirring. A quiet rebellion. And if you follow that whisper, you'll realize the script you're following was never meant to carry your soul to freedom. 5. You're fulfilling a story that isn't yours. Every man is handed a role before he even understands the plot. Be the provider, be the strong one, be the seeker, be the achiever. And without realizing it, you step into character, performing a story written by culture, family, even religion. You say the lines, hit the cues, and earn the claps, but deep down there's this nagging feeling like the story you're living doesn't match the voice in your chest. That's not identity, that's survival theater. This kind of performance runs on autopilot. You smile when you're dying inside. You act spiritual while ignoring your shadow. You hustle for goals that no longer inspire you, just to keep the image alive. It's exhausting. And the worst part? Most people won't even notice if you disappear. That's the trap of approval-based identity. It looks meaningful, but it's hollow at the core. Like acting in a movie, no one's watching. If you want out of that script, you got to stop reading your lines. One way to start? Journal every day for a week with this question. What role am I playing today that doesn't feel real anymore? Let the answers come without filter. You'll start seeing patterns, places you say yes out of guilt, relationships that feel staged, beliefs you no longer buy into. That's where your real awakening begins, in the uncomfortable truth. Because once you start questioning the story, a strange thing happens. Silence creeps in, and in that silence, a new script starts writing itself, not with roles and labels, but with something raw, unpredictable, and profoundly real. And that's when the next mask begins to crack. 6. You're compromising for approval you don't even value. So many men shape their lives around invisible audiences. They work jobs they hate, keep quiet at family dinners, and chase success metrics that don't even matter to them, all for a pat on the back that never comes. And even if it does, it feels empty. Why? Because the people you're trying to impress probably wouldn't even notice if you stopped showing up tomorrow. That's the trap, living for eyes that aren't even watching. Conditioning makes it feel noble. Be dependable. Don't disappoint. But this comes at a cost. Your authenticity. You end up filtering every thought, shrinking your opinions, and apologizing for your own presence. And when you do try to be real, it feels risky, like you're about to break some unspoken rule. That tension, that's your soul begging you to stop compromising and start existing. Try this as a test. Go one full day without justifying anything. Don't explain your choices. Don't sugarcoat your truths. Just be you, raw, clean, direct. It'll feel uncomfortable at first, but it'll also feel real. And that's the point. Authenticity isn't about being loud. It's about being whole, even in silence. Start showing up like the version of you that doesn't beg for permission. Because when you live for approval, you abandon yourself. And once you do that long enough, the real you starts fading. Until one day, you look in the mirror and wonder who the hell you became. That moment is scary, but it's also the doorway to something you've been avoiding your entire life. 7. The real you has been waiting for permission that'll never come. There's this sneaky lie most people live by, that one day the right moment will arrive. You'll feel ready. You'll get that clear sign. Someone will give you permission to finally be yourself. But here's the brutal truth. No one's coming. No light from the sky. No certificate of awakening. You're the only one holding the key, and the only thing stopping you is a story written by fear. That's how deep the conditioning goes. It convinces you to delay your own becoming. You wait because you think the version of you buried deep inside still needs to earn its right to exist. You think you need to meditate more, heal more, read more, or achieve something first. But authenticity doesn't work like that. It's not something you unlock after reaching perfection. It's messy, it's real, and it often shows up while your life still looks like chaos. You don't become ready, you decide to act even while shaking. If you're stuck waiting, try this. Write a letter from your future self, the one who finally broke free. Let him speak to you. Let him describe the life he's living now. This isn't some fluffy exercise. It rewires your subconscious to accept what you've been rejecting. Men don't need more information. They need permission to feel and act. And sometimes that permission has to come from the part of them that remembers who they really are. The truth is, the life you're living might just be the dream, and the real you is the one still asleep inside, knocking softly, hoping you'll remember. But the knock is getting louder now, and if you dare to listen, you'll see that the only permission you ever needed was your own. And from this moment forward, that illusion of waiting starts to burn.